Well, I'm all set up here to look at the ticker timer and to show you how to set it up and to make sure everything works. There are a few tricks of the trade that I'd like to go through first. Number one is, if you have a look at the carbon paper here, you'll notice that there's well worn around there. This is an old carbon paper and you need to put a new one in. Well, they plenty of them with the Labbies, with the Labtex, and just take it out. Now it has to go over this hooked nail here thing. Just make sure that the carbon paper is pointing downwards, goes under the vibrational rod and clicks through there so that it now pokes through. Make sure it's not put through so far that it can't spin, because the paper throwing through there has to turn this around so it doesn't always hit in the same spot. Then we're going to feed the paper. We'll take some paper, only just enough to demonstrate, and then it's got to go through under there, and then it has to go underneath the carbon paper and poke out the other side. These red guides make sure that it always goes through straight. Here we have the adjusting screw, which allows it to be free to move like this, or tightens it up so it's a lot springier. There'll be some settings where it works well, some it doesn't. You may have to play around with that. Now, to hook it up is dead simple. What you have to do is you've got to make sure that you use the AC terminals. With AC terminals, it doesn't matter which one goes into which. With DC, of course, red always goes with red, but with AC, there is no positive terminal, no negative terminal. So it doesn't matter which goes with. I just don't like to tangle wires. So into there and into there, banana plugs. Now, okay, make sure that your wires are clear of the paper trail that's going to go through, and then you're all set up to go. With the control, make sure then you turn it on first. When it's on, it should be on 2 volts. Now you notice nothing is happening, even though it's turned on. That's because 2 volts is too low, but always start on 2 volts. Then build it up, 4 volts. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but there is a distinct little hum going on. But it's a very light hum. You'll get used to this after all. When I go to 6 volt, you'll hear it humming very well. Now that is not a bad setting that it's on. It's got to bounce sufficiently to make an imprint on the bottom, but not be so tight that it won't hammer all the way down, and not be so loose that it just flaps around. Let's just have a look and see if we've actually got any dots on there. Well, they have, because they're all in the one spot right there, but that's because we haven't actually moved the tape. So now let's try it again, leaving it on 6 volts because we know that works. Move the tape along a bit, and you'll see the paper trail is left. Now that is a perfectly working ticker timer, and it should be no problems whatsoever. So just a reminder, doesn't matter which way the cables go, make sure that your carbon paper is free to turn, and make sure that you start off at 2 volts and build up. You should never go over 8 volts. If you go over 8 volts, your thing's not working properly. Certainly don't go up to 12, because it's not necessary to make the hammer work any harder than it did there. If you look at this, you will see clearly that the dots are easy to see. They're close together because I was hardly moving it, but you can certainly see it's going on.